Can't believe we finally getting this interview, man.
It took so long, but it was finally worth it.
Got the book down, Dapper Dan.
I can't wait, man. This is exciting. Dapper Dan.
Yeah, Rap Radar Podcast, Elliot Wilson.
This is B-Dot.
Dapper Dan, man.
I can't believe it, man. From Queens to Harlem, here we are.
Are we Gucci?
I think so. But honestly, this book is a page turner, man. I couldn't put it down.
Yeah, man. It needs to be a bestseller, man. It's going to be a great interview, man. I'm excited. We're in Harlem, man, to see this man, the legendary
Yes.
Dapper Dan.
I had to put my good clothes on for him.
You asked a lot of questions in this book, man. Congratulations. Yes. How does it feel to have this book finally out, man? What was that process like?
The main reason, like, I wanted to do this book is because I'm the last generation to grow up in Harlem and see Harlem before there was a drug epidemic. To see Harlem when 11 o'clock Sunday morning, you see everybody coming out their houses going to church. To see Harlem when everybody go in their buildings and all the doors is open. To see Harlem when anybody, all the adults could stop you in the street and say, "Ain't that Lily Day, son?" And you'd be embarrassed if you was doing something wrong. So that's what this book is about. This book is like to tell a story by a guy who comes from the corner.
Yeah.
Who's trying to find a way to keep young men from getting stuck on the corner, like I was, you know?
Yeah.
Because I tell the young guys in my neighborhoods, the hardest graduation they may ever have in their life is graduating from the corners. Yeah.
Why was it now the right time to write it, though?
With this platform, a lot of people are paying attention to me, especially young people.
Right.
So it's the ideal way to reach them.
Yeah, you've had an amazing year right now. I mean, already this book is going to be adapted into a film also, right? With Gerard
Oh yeah,
Carmichael?
yes, yeah, it's going to be adapted to film. Man, you don't know, like, I'm in a dream state, and I tell my friends, I say, man, look, you're in the underground for 20 years.
Yes, sir. Built the
And
underground.
then, yeah,
right.
in the underground, you know, you're going
Hip-hop
from
fashion.
gangsterhood to gangsterhood. I'm traveling like from New York to Chicago, hitting every ghetto.
Yeah.
You know, then come back and go from New York to Atlanta, hitting all the ghettos to stay afloat. Then all of a sudden, you got a partnership with Gucci, a book deal with Random House, and a movie deal with Sony Pictures.
You can't write that.
Dapper Dan, baby.
I couldn't believe it, man. And like I tell everybody, if you pinch me and I wake up, I'm gonna kill you.
Did anybody want to kill you? Because reading the book, it's a page turner. Like, a lot of the stories is like really personal. Your family, your friends, did they have any reservations about the stories that you told?
No, because you know what? That's a good question. Because this is what happened, right? I say, man, I was like reluctant to say a lot of things.
Yeah.
Now I'm walking around and they say, "Dap, I heard you got a book, man. I better be up in there." It was the opposite reaction.
Right.
They want that
I thought
shot,
people would be mad with their name being up in there.
Right.
And I avoided, you know, a lot of people. I said, they mad because they not up in there.
That boy, my look.
Yeah, man. It was like, come on, man. You know I was that real dude
Yeah,
now.
right.
So quit playing, man. What chapter I'm in?
But I thought it was interesting about the book. Like, obviously, you know, you were such a part of building the whole foundation, what we call the golden age of hip hop and fashion. But that's to me, that's maybe like 25% of the book. Really, the majority of the book is really about your journey.
Yeah.
And you being super personal about every aspect of that. Why was that so important?
Hip hop and fashion is grounded in culture. You know what hip hop has done today is an outgrowth, and the stories they want to tell and the experience they want. It's an outgrowth of my experience. You know, I'm the first generation of the Great Migration.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, this is where it starts.
Yeah.
It starts with us. That first generation of the Great Migration. This inner city thing.
Yeah.
So the stories start with us. So I wanted them to know the genesis of what this all is, what they're feeding off, because they're all feeding off it, whether they're conscious of it or not.
Growing up in the 80s, like, how much of a fan of hip hop was you before you started working with these rap stars like LL Cool J? Were you invested in the culture in terms of the music and loving it before?
I watch it develop. Like a lot of guys, like, you got to look at what they call hip hop per se. I've been trying to nail that down anyway, because I remember we had a club on 125th Street, Charles's Gallery, and that's when the first time I ever saw this kind of music,
The
what you would
performance,
call
right.
hip hop today,
Yeah, yeah.
experience. Like, and guys would come in there and say, "Yo, man, can I get on the mic?"
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
This is like in the 70s?
Yeah, so I saw. Yeah,
Yeah.
This is like in the late '60s, going into '70s. Like right before Hollywood Harold and all of them. You know.
Yeah.
Right before we became part of. It was still like a house party type of thing.
Yeah.
And clubs was just starting. And that's the first time I saw it. And then I just saw it develop until it just took off in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Took off in the Bronx.
Absolutely.
Because when I was growing up, you couldn't go in the Bronx, you know. They had Irish gangs up there.
And you were part of a crew too. You talk about that in your book, the Souls and all the crews that you was down with.
When you talk about gangs from back in the day and gang culture from back in the day, there has been, we never lost one person to violence. Never once. There's nobody who grew up with me got killed from gang violence.
Right.
Not one. So it's a different thing. And you might hear, you don't even hear it no more. They say, somebody have a problem with somebody else. They say, can I get a fair one?
Right.
You know? Yeah, and then you
fair
fight.
one.
And then when the older guys say you got enough, they say, okay, that's it, man.
Call it off, yeah.
Y'all both prove your man.
What was it like growing up in that era when you were surrounded by gangsters? Like you mentioned as a kid, seeing Bumpy Johnson, you know, you was around
Okay,
Mickey.
let's don't get it confused. These young guys today use the word gangsters. I grew up with racketeers. There's a difference between gangsters and racketeers. You know, racketeers, like, they into like bootlegging liquor, bootleg liquor. They're into the numbers game,
Right.
you know, the confidence game, things like that there. This new concept came as what we call this G thing. It's an outgrowth of drug culture.
But you dealt with outfitting the dealers of that era, though. Like, besides the rap stars, Alpo, the famous hustlers that we know of, all got their gear from you.
Yeah, they get that credit because of the nature of the time. In particular, Alpo. Alpo ushered in. He just came along at the same time hip hop was beginning to spread. So he was the first fly guy for them, for that generation. You know. But each generation had what we call, like you hear me talk about, a boy wonder.
Yeah, the boy wonders.
Yeah, man. those are the guys who set the pace. Each generation had that guy who everybody talked about because they was really fly.
Who do you think is like the boy one of this generation?
The boy, see, it shifted because each generation had a time when money was flowing. Now, a drug dealer, man, you know, we don't have like kingpin drug dealers back then, like they had back then, you know. So now, if you was talking about a boy wonder in Harlem now, everybody's kind of like low key. Nobody's getting that kind of money where they can stand out that way. There's not nobody I can call out right now that everybody say I want to dress like him.
Yeah.
That shifted to the rappers now.
Yeah. Right. And you said in the beginning you enjoyed something about the personal rapport, like, because the part of what made your style so great is you really connected with these people that you tailored clothes for and created clothes with. And you had said in the book how much you sort of connected more with the rappers than talking to the hustlers.
Yeah. I like the shift because I like what was happening. There was this thing with, you know, especially when rap started, it didn't have the same kind of nature. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't understand how drug culture is and what it does. It implodes. And I didn't see that happening with rap. I didn't see the death call. You know, with gangsters, you see them every day, and you're hearing stories from both sides. Yeah. People coming all the way, yeah, we know what we're getting ready to do. You know how many we done did. Yeah. You know, that didn't happen. You know, it was like, it was a comfortable shift. Yeah. You know, that's before gangster rap came in. You know, that
we're talking like the
that turned
82
everything.
to 92.
Then it got like that. You know?
Yeah. But somebody like you, connection with LL Cool J, you kind of took you guys working together with the magnitude of his stardom. So now you're taking something that was more New York based, and you feel like it's going nationwide, worldwide. Yeah. Did you feel that connection? Like now, LL Cool J was kind of like someone who helped bring your fashion to more of a wide mass audience. Yeah,
definitely LL. And you know, the interesting thing about LL is like I was doing before I got ready. I was just transitioning him because you know it was what was they called? It was called B-boys. Right. And then I was just shifting. If you see how LL was dressing, like from the logo outfits I was making, then I was getting him more, shifting him towards how I dress. Yeah. And you see him going toward with like these silk outfits. with the shoulders, with the collars, and the LL right here.
Yeah.
So I say, LL, we starting this thing, man.
Get out of the
We're going
tracksuits and all that. Yeah.
No, we're going from B-boy to B-man. Yeah, we did a shoot like that there with Ted Demme and everything.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't get a chance to really move in on it like that because, bam, I got raided. You know,
Yeah.
I had to go underground.
But before that, you was the father of logomania. Explain that. What do you mean when you say that?
Everybody has aspiration, so they're aspirational garments, right? Aspirational things that if you got that, you arrive, right? So, in terms of clothes and cars and diamonds, that's what it was. I knew that I couldn't go into the diamond game because it was too lucrative, you know, too much bigger investment. So I started with furs, right? Because I knew gangsters everybody wanted to look furs, but I needed something else as like a cash crop. A guy came in the store one day and he had in fact, this is a really important guy. His name was Jack Jackson. Jack Jackson is the one who told on John Gotti's brother, Gene Gotti. So if you see me in the video with Pee Wee Kirkland, we walking through Harlem, you see me hold up a newspaper, and on the headline of that newspaper is Harlem Connection. What I was saying in that newspaper, this was the end of the Italians controlling drugs in Harlem when they busted Jack, and Jack ended up telling on John Gotti, right? Well, anyway, Jack came in the store one day and he had like a Louis Vuitton
Pouch, right? Like a little pouch. Yeah.
filled with $100 bills. So everybody want to see what Jack pulling out. And I looked at that bag and I saw how everybody got excited about that bag. So I had already been studying religion and symbolism and stuff like that. And I said, what is it about the bags? I said, it's the logo. That's the only thing that made that different from any other bag in the world. I said, it's the logo.
Yeah.
I said, if they got that excited over that logo, imagine if I could have them walking around looking like bags.
And you said Louis V didn't make clothes, Gucci didn't make jackets.
That's
None of
crazy. They didn't make it before you came around.
Yeah, none of them. So now, here's what I'm thinking. If I can get the same kind of energy, financial energy, out of logos that I got out of furs, so there's a luxury transference. So they are relating to logos the way they will relate to furs and diamonds, right? So I expanded on that, So I started making garments with logos all over. The brighter the diamond, the bigger the diamond, right?
Right.
The more it costs.
Yeah.
So how many letters you want?
Who were your style icons growing up? Like, who were your muses that you looked up to fashion-wise?
Fashion-wise, it was was a guy called Pee Wee Hammond, the famous basketball Joe Hammond, his uncle.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, he was the flyest guy I ever see. In Harlem, at one point, it was these guys from out of Georgia. They called them the Georgia Boys, and it was a whole group of them. They was really fly. But before them came Joe Hammond. But there was everybody from Harlem was from somewhere else.
Yeah.
During I was growing up, it was from different parts of the South. So the Georgia Boys they was really, really fly.
Yeah.
And the head guy of the Georgia Boys is the one that I patterned my street life from. His name Joe Jackson.
Joe Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was amazing. It's like his ability to hustle was crazy. What made me gravitate towards Joe Jackson is that they called him Gentleman Joe Jackson. Everybody in Harlem respected him. Everybody, and he was like a master pool player. He was a master Mac man. He could sing girls cross country, playing card game. Yeah, and everybody looked up to Joe Jackson, and he was an amazing gambler.
Yeah.
And when I was coming up, all the master hustlers that I came in contact with, all of them got high. And when I noticed that Joe Jackson, he didn't smoke, he didn't drink, he didn't get high, I said, that's it, that's the missing key. He was the street version of Malcolm X. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
He didn't do that. None of that there, man. So I said, oh, that's it. So if I'm gonna be a street demon, I'm gonna be like Joe.
Well, you was a hell of a demon because I was reading this book. I was so fascinated that you were so good at dice. Like playing CeeLo.
You still got that? You still got it?
I was trying to find some dice and see if you still got it.
Man, I got it, man. You ask him. Man, I broke everybody. I broke everybody.
What was your technique, Dad? Because I used to play CeeLo, and sometimes I get head crack, sometimes I would ace out.
So you sometimes you felt lucky, sometimes you didn't feel lucky. Right?
Pretty much.
Then that's why you lost. 'Cause ain't no such thing as luck.
Right.
It's mathematics. You know, I played mathematics. When you hear the guys in Harlem talk about me and say, Dap never shot the dice, I give them mathematical propositions. You know, so you play CeeLo, right?
Yeah.
I would bet you don't beat the deuce twice. Sounds easy, right? Yeah. Yeah. You know, or I bet you can't five or better. I'm going to give you a mathematical
The probabilities of things.
yeah,
Right.
the law
There
of
you go.
probability. That's it. So I studied like first everything I learned in the street. I utilized that, but then I went and bought books by the foremost authorities on gambling, and that was like John Scotty. I read everything he put out, you know, and then I read books on the percentages so that I would know that. And so like people think they're gambling when they go to Las Vegas and play on the gambling table, but the reason the casinos always lit because they have a vigorish. Like say on one side of the table, if you bet the dice on 5, you bet straight up. On the other side, they got to lay odds. So in between that, there's a vigorish, right? So this is how I do, right? Say, here's the proposition. Say I have a 3-sided cube.
Okay.
My intention, what I have to do, is to get you to bet that you can't throw one of the sides, right? So that means you got one side, I got 2 sides. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But you got to understand the lower probability has to kick in. I would never bet, like say if you had $1 million,
Right.
and it was like say 10 numbers, and I told you I'm gonna give you $1 million, 10 million for your million if you pick the number. I would never do that.
Right.
I tell you got to keep picking the number.
They're going to bail you from Vegas.
We'll break it down in proper proproportion
Right.
so that the lower average can kick in.
Right.
So it's based on probability.
What can't you do,
and I
Dap?
studied
What
that.
can't you do, Dap? Like, I feel like you're a
Man,
scientist, man.
You know what? And when I was coming up, my life has been about tools. This is the person who I've always was destined to be and would want to be. But when you grow up poor and stuff, the first thing I learned, my father was the only one who had a job. All my uncles, everybody, all the males that I knew in my community that I looked up to were hustlers. So you use the tools from these people to survive. So they were survival tools. So when you see me driving down these different lanes in my life, it's because I'm switching games like that. The paper game, you know, the crap game, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everything that I ever gotten.
You were the first swipe of that.
Yeah.
But taking it back to hip hop for a second, when I think of some iconic images, I wanted to get your take on the whole thing behind, you know, iconic cover, Eric B. and Rakim, Paid in Full. Like you talked about the logos before, like how important was that, and how did you come up with what did you want to create?
And
for
that's
those
an
guys?
important album cover because with Eric B. and Rakim, you see the personification of personalities through emblems. You see on the back of Rakim's, he got the 5%ers.
Yep.
You know, and Eric B got the Gucci sign. You know, so that signaled like and let everybody know, Dapper Dan, you can have it your way. You know, and people they know me for the logos, but if you see like some of the things I did downstairs, like say Jungle Brothers, they was into Afrocentric stuff. So I made them stuff in red, green, and black. And Boogie Down Production, they got into this thing where they was doing like reggae, this reggae type rap.
Right.
So I made them clothes in the roster colors.
Yeah.
So I did all the kind, and then Salt and Pepper with tour jackets. It was like a lot of diversity in what I was doing.
Yeah.
But it's just that the stuff with logos, it just was like took off.
Was there anything you wouldn't do for a customer?
I wouldn't never ever would make anybody any clothes with gang symbols on them. You will never see nobody with a garment that Dapper Dan made that had flags on it.
Yeah.
You know?
But it did get controversial. You did make some bulletproof.
Oh yeah, I get you protected.
Protect your neck.
Yeah, I get you protected.
Also, there are certain little pockets where you could hide
stash
certain
pockets.
things.
Yeah,
you know?
I had all of that there. But I got in trouble with that though, because one day for about in fact, New York Jack was under investigation. The DEA used to park across the street all the time, right? For maybe 3 weeks, I ain't get no customers. I had to go over there and tell them, I said, listen, everybody know who you are. And that's a thing I learned about DEA. And when you see them, it's over. They just wrapping up the small stuff.
Right.
So I went over to tell them, everybody know who you are, and they laughed and drove away. But when they came back looking for the guys that they want to pick up, they said, "Oh, you that wise guy. You the one be making all that bulletproof stuff for them, and we got to come get them." So what they was telling me that we don't like what you're doing.
Right.
So that's why I had to stop that after a certain time.
You said the store was a heavy psychological toll on you, right? And you was open for 9 years, never closed.
24 hours.
24 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours, man. I had that built apartment in the back so my kids can come spend the night with me sometime. The store itself, if you involved in the culture, I grew up in the culture and grew out of the culture. There's layers of culture in Harlem. You know what I'm saying? There's spiritual layers, there's gang layers, you know, it's just all these different kind of layers, you know. And so when you start making that transition, you start rejecting certain stuff. Like, to be in, some nights I sit in there and hear guys discuss murder, you know? And you say to yourself, damn, this, you know? And then I'm reading spiritual stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's hard. It was hard to live with that, man.
Right.
It's hard to live with that, man. And I talked about this earlier. If you've been around as long as I have, you know this culture that they call gangster culture and all that, it implodes. And you might hear me say, like, you can't be in it and not of it.
Yeah.
So although I'm not participating in that activity, I'm right in the midst of that activity, you know?
Right.
And it implodes. So now, you know, everybody was making a lot of money off crack, right? Then when it oversaturation, you know, when the cartels got into it, they start flooding Harlem. So the flood of the drugs in Harlem created this enormous amount of competition. And this was detrimental not only for Harlem, but from the small towns that we came from in the South. And this is very important. The strong ones could take over neighborhoods, you know, and if the strong ones wasn't getting any money, then the wars would start. You know, and the wolves would start. The weak ones, you know, like when we got in trouble when we was young, our parents would say, "I'm sending you back down south." You know, "I'm sending you back down south." But this is the detrimental twist took place. The weak ones who couldn't make it here say, "Damn, I can make a killing if I go down south." So they got on the road and started going on south. And that's when messed up where we came from. So now there's no haven for the escape, and that went down there. But so, and in Harlem, as the proliferation of the drugs took place and the wars took place, then you had the kidnappings and the murders. So I'm right in the midst of that. A week took place, they tried to kidnap this guy in front of my store, right? And it was unsuccessful. And now I got to make a judgment. I'm watching them getting ready to kidnap me. Do I call the police or mind my business? So I'm a product of the environment.
Right.
So even though I think I'm not in it, I'm still of it.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this take place, right? So the desperate guy. So I say nothing. The next week they tried to kidnap me and I got shot and got a bullet in my neck.
To this day.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's what happened. If you are in it, you think you can't be of it, but you are of it. You know? And I said this earlier, like, when that happened to Nipsey, I got flashbacks. Because here's a guy who changed his life, had nothing to do with it, and it's the same thing. You know, it comes back at you. So you got to just like remove yourself from it for a while.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you're interacting with it, it implodes.
Right.
You know, it implodes.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what happened to him. Exactly. He didn't have nothing to do with that. He was away from that culture. The same way as I was away from that culture. It's a miracle that I'm not dead. I'm carrying a bullet in my neck.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like my friend Pee Wee, he don't have nothing to do. He ain't talking to nobody who's about that. He's not engaging in any activity that would bring that kind of a negativity around him. You know what I'm saying? So if you're around the negativity that creates that kind of climate, no matter what your intentions are, you fall subject to the demons.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's the same thing, man. That's like, it hit me like a brick when I saw that. I said, damn, here it is again, man.
Right.
Here it is again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You just gotta get away from it.
Yeah.
You can't talk it with nobody. You can't engage nobody. I had problems with that, man. I went to a thing for Puff Daddy Palmer one time. A friend of mine was on there. He said, "Yo, Dad, man, you've been disrespecting me for 6 months now. So what you talking about? You won't accept none of my calls." And I said, "Listen, man, I don't want to hear nothing about that life. I don't want to be involved in that life. You know, I just got away. I just like went in." And that's what it is, man.
Right.
And if you got a brother, you got to. I tell my brother, if I got a brother, I got a cousin, I say anybody else, I say, "Man, I'm not messing with you, man."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, because you leaving them doors open for things to happen to you. You know.
But back in the more fun front, like back in the days though, even when you first was in the mix, though, you was more selective of who you was social with outside of giving them outfits and stuff like that. But you and Mike Tyson built a real friendship, right? You said you guys would hang out socially.
Mike was incredible, man, and like. I can't wait till I have I haven't spoke to Mike since the store closed.
Really?
Wow.
That's a long time, right?
It's over 30 years.
Mike
You see the pictures in the book,
That was
right?
crazy.
Yeah, can we talk about that? Like, so that everybody knows that we've heard of the infamous Mike Tyson, Mitch Green fight at the Dapper Dan store. Can you explain? And there's pictures, like the book has
I didn't know
pictures?
that there were pictures existed until I saw the book.
Man, it's a big story behind them pictures, man. You know I know the street. You know I know the con game. And if you look at the trajectory that Mike went through, suing his friends, suing everybody around him, and I watched how everybody around him was playing him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm seeing this, I say, damn. And then when the fight broke out, the newspaper reporters offered me up to $115,000. It was a bidding war between Star, you know, the
Star,
Star and the Enquirer.
Wow.
Those two papers. It was a bidding war.
Before the internet. Before the internet.
Yeah, before the internet. They paid me $1,500 just to see if the pictures existed.
Just to see them.
The bidding war started. My nephew, who took the pictures now, he said, "Dad, we can get $115,000. They didn't went up to $115,000. That don't even count European distribution." You saw them pictures, right?
Yeah.
You saw them pictures?
I saw that. I didn't know they existed.
I had
That's
them pictures
crazy.
for like 25 years.
Wow.
And
So this is out of your respect for Mike also, right? I
Yeah,
guess,
because I knew that if I showed them pictures, Mike was going to get sued for a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Mike was so young and inexperienced at the time. I said, "Mike, I got these pictures. I ain't going to show them though." He said, "Sell them," but he didn't know.
Right.
He didn't even understand. I'm gonna have a big conversation with Mike about the pictures too. Man.
Talk about that, but like people that don't know, like what a phenomenon! When Mike Tyson came into the game,
Yeah, that
like,
changed the course of my whole.
Yeah, he was running around with Naomi Campbell.
I don't know.
Right.
And looking back, yeah, he came to the store with Naomi Campbell and Miss America, the second one.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, Mike was a hell of a dude, man. He generated a lot of excitement, and it's just that after Cuss died, everything changed.
Right. Custom model.
Custom
You know what I
model,
mean? I don't want to talk about the people. I'm not going to talk about go into the deep until I get around Mike and me and him talk about it.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say he was your best customer?
It depends how you look at it. He was the best and the worst.
Because he did shut it down.
Right.
His fight brought all the attention at the end of the day.
That caused me to get shut down.
And it was Fendi that went after you, right? At first.
They Louis, Fendi, and MCM.
Gucci laid off. That's why we're Gucci now.
No, Gucci didn't come at me. They never got a chance to. The other ones was too busy on me. Yeah, but Fendi was the most aggressive behind MCM because MCM took off because of LL. But Fendi was the most aggressive because Sotomayor, who became one of the
Supreme Court
justices of the Supreme Court, she was the lead attorney for Fendi. All right.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget when she came for the raid. Came in the store. She saw this coat I had just made for Big Daddy Kane, black pangea.
That was the ill coat. The Big Daddy Kane coats was ill.
Black glamour collar and everything. She said, "Wow, this guy belongs downtown." Yeah, she ain't take me. She took all my stuff downtown.
How much for an average, what was the price for a Dapper Dan ensemble back in those days?
A budget one. A velour suit was the budget ones.
Okay.
That would cost you $1,100.
$1,100.
Yeah.
And
That was the cheapest thing, $1,100. Unless you wanted a visor.
What was the most expensive piece that you made?
The most expensive piece would be I made jackets like Louis Vuitton, and then when you flip it over, it's all mink, reversible. And those ran up to like $7,000, $6,000.
Everyone loves the Alpo snorkel, and there was another picture of Alpo. It was at a club. It had the matching hat.
Yeah, and the espadrilles.
But you would lend clothes out too, like you said, Andre Harrell, like in the early days of Uptown with him and Puffy. They had the bar clothes for Mary J. Blige and Jodeci.
Yeah, man, Andre Harrell was like a big asset. Andre got it, he really got it. When he started out, he had like a little office in Brooklyn, and I used to go out there. But Andre Harrell and the rappers didn't have money. It took a while for them to get money.
That real boom.
Because Andre, I used to loan them clothes,
Yeah.
Some rappers still owe me money. I promise I won't call them out no more.
No, you did
You
the
said
book.
LL Cool J?
Said Teddy
Yeah,
Riley,
you saw that,
Teddy Riley, LL, and BDP. So that's KRS One.
Yeah.
Pay Dapper's money, yo.
Yeah, tell them.
He's gonna battle you, Dap.
Yeah. We can laugh about it, but kick it up, man.
But it's all Gucci now, literally though, Dap. I mean, last year, 2 years ago when that whole controversy happened, when the inspired piece hit the runway, hit the blogs. What was your thoughts of that when it first happened?
You know what? I probably was the one least affected psychologically for that because I had been seeing it all along. People just wasn't conscious of it. Harlem knew. That's why they got called out. But I said, damn, it wasn't no social media. Social media just came about. So I didn't know that Black Twitter could have that much power.
Right.
Oh, when they first
when they first saw it.
designs.
I didn't know anything about that. I just thought that they was gonna keep being able to appropriate different brands and different people be able to appropriate and not could say. But when that came out and Black Twitter kicked in and
social media helped bring the connection with you. And Gucci.
That was like amazing. I said, what? And
you kind of like used to it at this point, like, oh, they just gonna rip me off again. Right?
Yeah. I never thought that I'd be able to profit from my creativity.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a far stretch. But
But then Steve Stout stepped in too. I hope bridged the connection between you and Gucci. Correct?
Well, my son was the primary force behind that.
Jelani?
Jelani?
Yeah, Jelani was the primary force behind that. But other people stepped in after that.
Okay.
But my son is the one who negotiated the deal.
Yeah.
My son is the one who they reached out to and talked to. That. I just didn't go into it. I told my son, don't worry about it.
I think,
but yeah, he the one that did
what
that.
beat I was more referring to was the blackface incident. Like how
the
you
blackface.
stepped up and you kind of held them Gucci accountable for their actions in that case, right?
That's point two.
Right.
We just left point one. Okay. Yeah, point two was like the blackface. When you look at it, the blackface definitely, in my opinion, wasn't something that was intentional. Because I studied like Alexandro, what his intentions was, what his experiences was, his relationship to fashion and how it should be carried out or done, and as well as Marco. So I know it wasn't intentional, but when you're getting involved in being creative and you using elements of other people's culture, it's easy to make a mistake. So that was it. But mistake or not, regardless to what you might think of what happened, whether you think it was intentional or unintentional, it's like if you shoot somebody by accident or you shoot them on purpose, they're still dead.
Right.
So we have to deal with the fact that they dead. So it happened, so we have to deal with the fact that it happened, So I told Gucci, I said, listen, I'm a black man before I'm a brand. You got to come to Harlem and explain what this situation is. And they came, and they sat down, and what I did was I had like all the people that I could gather together in the corporate world, people who are responsible for corporate inclusivity, people who have dealt with issues like this before, people who have knowledge of how corporations work and things like that. And I gathered them together with Gucci, and we ironed out this thing on how they should approach the problem. So today we have what's called the change makers. So what the change makers do is they're gonna see that a Gucci appropriates money for different programs, have recruit young designers up and down the ladder, straight up and down the ladder. So we got this big Gucci corporate inclusivity, not just as designers, but in every facet of the business. So that's a good thing that happened as a result
turn the
of
negative
a bad
into a positive,
thing. Yeah, because it's hard getting the message out. But what Gucci is doing is a great thing. In fact, it's so important for us to have a foothold in luxury branding because we don't have that, right?
Right.
That's so important. And so I'm thinking that when everybody sees what's going on with Gucci, we can move this program to other big luxury brands. You see, as soon as Gucci came and got me, right away, Louis Vuitton went and got Virgil. So something is happening.
Yeah.
We can't stifle what's happening. If you don't interpret what's happening in the right way, you can set us back. We have to forge ahead with what we're doing with Gucci and take it to other brands. We should not back up. Because if we back up in terms of this boycott, this would be the first boycott ever by people of color in America that has zero accomplishments.
Right.
We've always used boycotts as a means to get in, not to walk away from, you know? So I'm happy with the changes so far, and I advise everybody to go online. You can go on my Instagram and pull out the information and read everything about Gucci change makers and see if they're happy with what they see.
After you got raided and was shut down, you know, I know you went underground and started doing your things on that circuit, but you had a quote in the book where you said that when you went to clients, they said, I ain't dealing with that black shit. You know, it was like as if there wasn't as much reverence for black products or black things, black goods and services.
Yeah, but you know what that comes from? That's a result of, that's incumbent upon the creators. I'm one of the creators, right? I have to produce something that would make them want to wear it.
Is that why urban brands don't do as well as they used to?
Yeah, well, urban brands do. A lot of people look at urban brands and they don't see what I see. What urban brand that has come about that was a luxury brand? None. People have aspirations. Everybody don't want to walk around looking like everybody else. You understand? So it bottomed out. And plus it was dated. What I mean by dated is they came out with an idea, and everybody had that idea, everybody looking around, you know, and what I did was like, when you customize, you constantly, you know, they can't pin you down. You know, you are everybody who you come in contact with. So my collaboration was with the customer. So as they change about how they feel, I'm changing with them.
Has the customer changed since those days till now?
Well, the customers haven't had the ability to change because there's nobody have been there until I came back to give them an opportunity to change. Because what designers do now, they design from their mind. They come up with ideas and they put it out there. I didn't do that. I come up with ideas and I said, how do you feel about this? How do you want to look? And we work together. So now I'm tapping into their energy. And I'm using my energy for us to be creative together. You know, designers have this like ego thing that they think, well, man, I'm good, man. But no, you're only good until people want to wear you.
Right. You gotta adapt.
You know what I'm saying? So the bottom line is people got to feel good with the garment. With wearing
you said
the
garment can change everything.
It's true.
It's transformative, man. It's nothing like
there's
it.
There's a power in it.
Yeah, the power of garment is transformative, man. It's like it's new skin. You know, yeah, it's new skin because you know if you come out of the project, you come out of the ghetto, you put on a fly suit, you go downtown, nobody know where you came from,
right?
What your story is, what your bank account
I
looks like.
experienced that first hand, you know, because when I was coming up, I was really poor, but I got fly and I went somewhere. Man, it's so transformative. You feel good about yourself.
What was it like taking over the World Series of Fashion this year? That Met Gala. A Dapper Dan takeover.
That was it.
You went 21 Savage.
Whoa, man, that was it, man. But did you see the variation?
Right.
Yes.
Young, old, you know what I'm saying? Different styles. That was it, man. You know what I mean? That was it. Like the canvas had everything in it, man. So that felt good because not only was I there, I had my own table.
Literally.
Yes.
Right.
I had my own
Not a seat at the table. My own table.
Yeah, man. There are people who've been around longer than me, you know, in terms of even while I was underground, didn't even get that, man. So I have Harlem and everybody who ever believed in me to thank for that, man, because that's major.
Right. Yeah. It's always major in hip hop when you get shouted out, you know, from Jay-Z to Fat Joe.
Yeah.
Like do you remember the first time you got shouted out on a song?
Fat Joe even shouts you out in his recent record. He said,
yeah, isn't that something?
You niggas buying Dapper Dan out the Gucci store. I was in Harlem dripping Dap, serving Pookie Raw.
And you knew him at a young age, right? When he was working at a sandwich shop?
Yeah, that's right.
Crazy.
Joe. When Fat Joe started out, And he used to come to the store and say, damn, this guy, he knew everything about rap, man. Fat Joe was walking inside a compedia, man.
Yeah. No, he is.
I haven't met anyone that knows more about the rap game than Fat Joe.
Wow.
And I'm talking about this from day one, because I used to listen to him when he come into my first tiny store. He knew everything about rap, man. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. You also got a great connection with A$AP Ferg. Like, you knew his father.
Oh, yeah. I used to mentor his father, man.
D. Ferg.
D. Ferg.
Yeah, D. Ferg was responsible for a lot of the swag. Puff Daddy will tell you, he got his swag from D. Ferg. Yeah.
He designed the Bad Boy logo.
He designed the Bad. Yeah, he was an amazing young guy, man. I started on the store. I used to let him do T-shirts and stuff like that in the store when he was a kid, man.
What's his son? What's A$AP Ferg like? His son
oh man, he's like, he
looks like his father too.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, he looks like his father. He's amazing, but you know what? He's hungry for knowledge, man. That makes him so important.
Yeah,
you can't find guys like that. He sought me out. I'm coming out my house one day, and this car pull up, right? I said, damn. So I'm on G now. I'm thinking, what's going on here, man?
You want to be on G?
Yeah. So he jumps out of the car and walks up to me. He said, my father told me all about you. I've been looking for you for 2 years. And we've been together ever since then.
That's dope.
Yeah, he's amazing. So I tell him all about what it was like, what his father went through, what it was like when I was a kid and everything. Yeah.
And the mentorship extends to Rocky as well, A$AP Rocky.
Yeah, A$AP Rocky. I feel terrible like that. And I want to put this message out. I was locked up in a foreign jail, so I know what it's like.
Talked about that in the book.
I did 9 months in a foreign jail, but it is not a joke. So I want all you guys that go on tour, this is my suggestion to you. Whoever is paying for your tour at the venue that you're at, require that they get you security from that city which you are in. Let them be the first
local security.
Yes, local security, because they know how to deal with the people there. Yeah. And then if anything transpires as a result of that, that's on them.
Yep.
It's not going to even cost you that much. Get security for them, because these people, that whole city and community is going to be against you. It doesn't cost money. Just get their security. They know how to deal with their people there, man. Right. Yeah. That's a tragedy, man. I'm really concerned. I've been calling every day about that.
Yeah. But going back to great relationships, another person that was very loyal to you through the ups and downs was Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd is so loyal.
Your relationship with him.
Floyd is so loyal, man. Y'all rappers should never say nothing about Floyd. Floyd, I'm serious. When you can get a guy,
and you met him through Eric B. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
You realize Eric B. was managing Floyd Mayweather back then?
I'm saying it again.
Eric B. was involved with Floyd back then. Floyd Mayweather?
Oh yeah. They all hung out. It's a funny thing. It's like Flannery O'Connor, everything that rises must converge. People go to all these venues and stuff, and you get to meet people. You at the parties. They're the only ones can get in them special parties and stuff. So they get to know each other, become friends like that. And Eric B. is a credible guy. He's a real street guy. You got some rappers that are really not street guys. Eric B. and Rakim, Jay-Z, and Nas. Those are real street guys. Wu-Tang. All them guys that I can testify that for them.
But back to Floyd, you let him design your trunks.
Everything,
many of his fights.
Floyd,
right?
For 17 years, man.
17 years.
Everything you see him wear in the ring, man.
Wow, that's why he was undefeated. You had Dapper Dan, you can't lose, baby.
Right. Floyd is amazing, man. He's amazing, man.
Yeah, he said we ain't boycotting Gucci, but Floyd was like,
no, he ain't playing now. He gonna what? Y'all boycotting? I'll be right back. I'm gonna give me some more Gucci.
What are some things that every band should have in their closet that it's important, like it's essentials?
Let me tell you my approach to gambling. I'm in gambling. I love gambling.
Of course.
My approach to dressing, right? To me, because I was born and raised in Harlem, I got a lot of different kind of friends. That's what makes Harlem so great. Our diversity in here, because like the Latinos here, my Puerto Rican friends here, my Dominican friends here, my African American friends here, my West Indian, all of them got little slight different ways they dress.
Right.
So depending on who I hang out with, I switch up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So I think that people should have diversity in their wardrobe based on what kind of activity takes place in their life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when you get among these people, you feel like one of them. And they'll feel like you feel like one of them, yeah. So that's what I think. I think you should, like, if you're a Wall Streeter, you can stay straight with a Wall Streeter, you know what I mean? But I like to be around people that I can, like, ID with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like on Friday nights, I hang out with my Dominican friends uptown. Like they cutting edge. And then on Saturdays, I hang out with my Puerto Rican friends at La Marqueta, and we listen to music and stuff like that.
All right.
That's what made Harlem what it is, man.
Right.
I thought every city was like this, man. You know, when I was growing up, we had like Italian, Puerto Ricans, and you know what I mean, Irish. We had all of us together in this cultural pot, man. And so I think that's what made Harlem so unique, you know. What you see, the Harlem you see now, you see it's gentrified, but the gentrification, the breakdown, the ethnic breakdown is close to what it was when I was a kid. The only difference is that we was poor Italians, poor Irish, poor Puerto Ricans, poor African Americans. And so we went to schools, the same schools together and stuff like that. So it was a difference. We, you know, you meet Italians here, they're not the same as the Italians you find elsewhere.
Right.
You know, and Puerto Ricans here, they're not the same. The Dominicans here, they're not the same. There's something that takes place here, that interaction, that they be like, just like us.
But that, what's your secret? How you stay so young, man? It's like you found a fountain of youth or something. Hey, you got the glow, baby.
Let me tell you, man. Let me tell you what I did, man. When I turned my life around when I was 23, I read Jethro Claus. I went looking for that book, Back to Eden. That's my family book with all those natural remedies in it. But when I went there was a brother in there, man. He looked real spiritual, right? And he had this book. He said, brother, we don't have that. Try this book. And it was called Man's Higher Consciousness, right? By Professor Hilton Halterman. And I started reading that book, and Professor Halterman said, man, your body's never more than 7 years old. He said, every 7 years, every cell in your body is replaced. And scientists just confirmed that even the brain regenerates, right? So I got heavy into that carbon cost, another one, carbon cost, survival to the 21st century. So what I did, I said, you know what, man, it might take me a time before I can come off. So I started studying metaphysics and science, and so I've been a vegetarian for like 45 years.
Wow.
When you were locked
I raised
up,
my son Jelani a vegetarian.
and you locked up, you say you were a fruitarian? I never heard that one before.
No, this is how he breaks it down. He says, how do we start off? He said we go from breatharian to liquidarian to fruitarian to vegetarian to carnivarian to gluttonarian. That's how he breaks it down, you know?
Yeah.
But what I really noticed, what really got me open was, I don't know, maybe about 15, 20 years ago, when England and Ireland was having this problem, and these Irish guys was locked up in the English jail, and they refused to eat. These were guys who wasn't even vegetarian. And the average of them without eating lasts 90 days before their faculties begin to fade. I say, damn, the body is amazing,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
But I think the most important thing that I learned from that, and what Hilton Halterman teaches, is that you can go like up to 90 days, depending on how you took your care, without eating. You know, if you're lucky, you can go 3 days without drinking water, you know? But you can't go 5 minutes without breathing, you know? So the most important organ in your body is the lungs.
Right.
The breath. You know, when the scriptures start out, they say, you know, God breathed the breath of life and we became a living soul. So there's something about that, man. And that's what I try to get the young kids. Like I say, remember the first time you puffed on that joint, right? I say you cough, right? And the second time you cough. Then when you start coughing, the body is reacting to the fact that, oh, I got to live with this. So it conforms with this, but it shortens.
Speaking of the youth, what's your advice to young designers that might be inspired by know your history or see what Virgil's doing? Like, I saw something where you said there's no such thing as ugly.
No such thing as ugly. Ugly is a thing they do to disparage other people. Ugly, only thing that's ugly is the way people act. In terms of fashion and how people look and things like that, no, there's no such thing as ugly. But if you want to make it in fashion, there's two things that I advocate. One is to master your culture. Two is to stay abreast of the latest technology associated with making clothes. That's how I did it. I understood the culture, read a lot about the culture, talked to the people. Like even now, I don't take I try not to take limos and none of that. I ride on the train, I ride on the bus, interact with the people and see how they respond to the way I dress, and I talk to them. I think it's very important to do that. Then other people who appropriate our culture come look at us. How else would they know about it? They come look at it and see how we do things. So we get the first look. So you gotta, if you can translate, that's what we should do. Designers should translate the culture. You know what I mean? That's what rappers do.
Right.
The rappers, I mean, some of them lie about it, but they all, their all objectives is to reflect on what's happening in the culture. I think that's what fashion should do also.
Do you think your background as a journalist, a lot of people don't know that, you know, you have that background. Is that, I guess you use that to your advantage when it comes to like researching and understanding what you're doing?
Yeah, I had, when I went back to school, Dr. Goody Reese, my history, I was a history major because I wanted to know why things happen. And he said it, as well as the black scholar said, history is the thing that's most qualified for you to know about all subjects. There's nothing that you can get involved in that history won't be an asset for. You know, and the key to history of no matter what it is reading. And so once I realized that I said, I'm gonna read about anything that I wanna know, I'm gonna read about it. And I just read my way out of every situation that I've ever been in.
Being a student of the game.
And you're well read, and we have your book now to read and also learn from, man.
Yeah,
what do you, before we go, what are you most proud of about the book?
The ability for the book to show people, younger people and other people, how far we've come and how important it is for us to read and find out and know our history. That's what this is. You know, this is a book about the history of at the bottom. You know what it's like to be at the bottom and rise up from the bottom. That's what I wanted to
conquer the world.
Yeah.
I felt like I got resilience out of it. That's what I
you see how you've always overcome every obstacle.
Yep.
Yeah, everything.
Your journey's been inspiring that way. Your resiliency.
Yeah. And it's like, it's just something when everything I said. First thing was drugs. The first thing I set out to do, I said, when I got out, I said, damn, why did I get high? You know, why did I use drugs? Like, why did I get involved with heroin? And so I said, you know what, I'm going to go. I went to the County Cullen Library. That's the Schaumburg Library, most important black library. You know, I said, I went in there and studied drugs. And then when I found out the situation that China had, the Boxer Rebellion, I said, oh, this is where it comes from. This is how it's happening. Let me tell you something. You could juxtapose everything that China has went through. You know, China had to kick the Europeans out of China during the Boxer Rebellion because of the opium wars. They was pushing opium in China. They went into a period of isolation for 100 years until Nixon went in there, right? And look at China today. And if we use that as a pattern, the Panthers was doing it, the 5%ers was doing it, the Nation of Islam was doing it. In the early days, we knew that the destructive force that was hurting us in America was drugs. You have generations. I'm the last generation that saw Harlem when it didn't have a drug epidemic.
Wow.
It started in the 60s. They don't even know what it is. They don't even know what it's like not to have a drug epidemic. They don't understand how much negative effect it has on our culture. Right. People will talk about guns and all that thing, but it all stems from that drug culture, man. You know, it drove us away from spiritual endeavors, man. Everybody, 11 o'clock Sunday morning was America's most prejudiced hour. Everybody in Harlem was going to church. I get up and Sunday, everybody went to church.
Right.
You know, man. So.
But it's great that you're still part of this community.
Drugs changed the whole culture, man.
But it's still great that you're part of this community and bringing positive change to it.
They never left.
And that inspires people.
I think if they see the whole story, man.
Read that book.
Yeah. Read that book.
So how are we going to celebrate when this tops the Times bestsellers list? Because it's going to happen.
Where's the party, Dap?
I'd probably have a meeting here with all the kids from the block who I've been trying to talk to for a long time. And I'm
Get some knuckleheads straight. Yeah.
See? I want them to.
Because
they'll be able to tell a story better than me.
Right.
Because I told it to them on a daily basis. Kids are excited about in every neighborhood I've been in. Yeah, they're excited about that. You know?
We appreciate it.
So it's on them. If I could just change one of them, one changes the rest, you know?
Right.
I think you're going to do that, man.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you, Dap. You're a legend.
Sir.
Thank you for taking the time, brother.
Thank you, man.
Really, man.
So this is Jay-Z. This is Jay-Z's with this?
Yes, TIDAL.
Jay.
He says hello.
Jay. Jay, you got a lot to do with what's happening with me today, man. Our story is tied in. I must be in your family, man. Beyonce wears my jacket, and look what he does for me.
Right.
You did that video with me and Pee Wee walking through Harlem. You don't even know the story. We got to sit down and talk about this story.
The Life and Times video.
Life and Times,
that was
yeah.
important.
Yeah, man.
Jelani was saying that was very important.
That changed everything.
Yeah.
You know, everybody started coming. Dapper Dan is out. They had young people thought I was. They say, "Oh, Dapper Dan is a real person." They didn't. Oh, yeah.
Jelani said we gotta go.
So Jay, we gotta talk, man. Thank you again, Jay. This must be the start of a new launching for me, man, because you did it.
We got a G on our chest. We still got Dapper Dan, man.
Yeah. Rap Radar Podcast.
Yeah.